Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Laurie Actman with the Penn Center for Innovation. We're Penn's commercialization organization, so we work with faculty and students to translate ideas and technologies into real-world projects, companies, corporate partnerships, and other kind of real-world applications of ideas that are embedded at Penn. We're also a partner in the Pennovation Center, where our ventures group is based, and have been involved from the beginning in the design, development, and launch of the center. And it's actually been one of the most amazing experiences for many of us to help create this Center for Innovation that is Penn's contribution to the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Philadelphia. And it's now, I think, in its third year of operation. So at the beginning, we weren't quite sure how everything would look and feel once the building was live and how the community would grow. And it's really been a smashing success. It's growing. There's high demand to be there. And now Penn is much more focused on the future of the Pennovation Works site, which also provides a lot of opportunity for the growing innovation ecosystem at Penn and in the Philadelphia community. So we're really excited today to host our key partners in that effort for a program about what's happening now and what's next at the Pennovation Works site. So today's speakers, first we have Anish Kumar, who's the recently named Managing Director of the Pennovation Works site. Anish brings a lot of experience and a long history of working in real estate development in Philadelphia in both the public and semi-public and private sectors. And he's also a Penn graduate, so has been in Philadelphia for most of his career, and it's great to have him now kind of leading this next phase of growth for Pennovation Works. And along with Anish, we have Mike W., or otherwise known as Woj, I've been told, the Senior Vice President from the MRA Group, who is our development and marketing partner for some of the newer developments at the Pennovation Works campus. So a lot of this is new and exciting development opportunities. Great to be able to hear from them. We're going to ask them to kind of present, and then we'll take questions after. So thank you to everyone for being here, and I'll hand it off to Anish.
Thank you. Thank you, Laurie. Thanks you very much for having us in this forum today, and to all the participants who've joined us. Our goal today, we have an hour together, so our goal is to first give you a quick overview of the Pennovation Works campus, the ecosystem, as Laurie mentioned, and then do a deep dive into our newest offering, which is the lab building that we are developing in partnership with Mike's organization. And I hope that our presentation encourages you to come and visit us, or expand your engagement with our community if you're already a member. As Laurie mentioned, Pennovation Works, it was established by the university about 3 or so years ago. And the university's goal in establishing Pennovation was to provide easily accessible resources and support to the entrepreneurs in Philadelphia. And most importantly, to connect these entrepreneurs with each other and to connect them with Penn's scientists, research centers, investors, and our corporate sponsors of research. The campus is located at the intersection of 34th Street and Grays Ferry Avenue just south of Center City in Philadelphia. It's across the river from the Penn campus that you can see on this map here. The hospital of the University of Pennsylvania, CHOP, Drexel, all within walking distance of this campus. Center City, the airport, 30th Street Station are about a 10-minute drive from Pennovation Works. So it's quite well located, and it's right next to the 75-mile Schuylkill River Trail. that runs right along the western edge of our Pennovation campus that you can see in green out here, which provides an amazing recreational resource for our community. Pennovation it's a full ecosystem. It's not just a building or a set of programs or events. It's all of them, and all of these things together create this ecosystem that Penn has created for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs join our ecosystem by either renting space or becoming members of our incubator or applying to be accepted in one of our accelerators. But regardless of how anybody joins the community, the Pennovation community, once they're part of the community, we provide a variety of resources. This includes different types of space. We have about 250,000 square feet of activated space across this 23-acre campus. It's lab space, office space, flex space for different types of users. We are home to about the community of innovators. We have about 70 innovative companies, a total population of 400 people working on this campus, 10 Penn research centers, and various corporate sponsors. So that comprises our community. And in 2019, we ran about 137 programs that 5,000 people attended, at Pennovation. So one of the bigger benefits of sort of the physical asset that Pennovation is that we are part of the Keystone Opportunity Zone and the Keystone Enterprise Zone. So companies that are resident at Pennovation are eligible for a wide range of state and local tax benefits, including abatement of the business privilege tax, the net profit tax, real estate tax. Members also are eligible for programming that is provided by Penn and by our partners, 1776, Johnson & Johnson, Hershey, and various others. And then there are networking events. Future for Pennovation is very exciting. In 3 years, we've gone from 0 to 250,000 square feet of activated space. And our goal is to develop 1.5 million square feet on this campus. So we have development parcels that you can see on this slide here. Everything to the left of the glowing building are development sites that are available for people, for companies that want to build purpose-built buildings. We've had a large number of companies that have graduated through the Pennovation ecosystem. We've had 120 companies that have flowed through the campus right so far, and over 16,000 people have participated in our programs and events over these past 3 years. The hub of this entire campus is the Pennovation Center building, which you see on this image here. This is our incubator, and it's also a shared resource for the entire Pennovation Works community. The center is operated by 1776, which is our operating partner. And it has 3 components to it. It has shared and dedicated offices, lab benches, co-working desks, with distancing now in today's environment. Inventor garages for companies that are in very early stages of their formation. So, these things range from a mobile membership where someone can just become a member of Pennovation Center for $99 a month and then take part in all the resources and the shared amenities that we provide. The Pennovation Center is also host to the Penn Engineering Research and Collaboration Hub, which we call PERCH, in which researchers from Penn's General Robotics, Automation, Sensing, and Perception Lab work with students and with companies. And lastly, it's home to PCIV, Lori's organization, Penn Center for Innovation, and the team that provides all of our educational, mentorship, and networking programming. And there's a range of shared resources. There's seminar rooms, conference rooms, kitchenette, cafe, bike parking, lab equipment that companies can share. The Inventor office building is adjacent to the center, and this provides space for startups that have outgrown the incubator and require dedicated flex space. So today in this building, we have about 21,000 square feet of rentable space. Most of it is rented, have very little vacancy. And there's a range of companies ranging from robotics. We have Ghost Robotics that makes sheep, they call them. They look like dogs, but they call them sheep. And they're robots that are being sold to companies all across the world. There's life science companies and there's Penn research entities, such as our polyhedral structures lab and the scalable autonomous robots lab that are located in this building. We are very excited to introduce the lab building, which after I finish, Mike's going to do a deeper dive into. The lab building is a 65,000 square foot multi-tenant wet lab building that is specifically being built for graduate startups that require 2 to 12,000 square feet of space that can be customized for their needs. And this will be ready in November. So in addition to these three major buildings that I talked about, the Pennovation Center, the Inventor Office building, and the lab building, Pennovation is also home to a variety of other centers and activities, such as the Penn Working Dog Center, the Smart Aviary, where we study the reproductive behavior of birds using machine learning. There's a greenhouse for research in plant-based medicines, and an FAA-approved drone net that is designed to allow companies that are doing innovation in drone technology to fly their experimental products. So, it's a very rich ecosystem that has a variety of components, physical assets that people can use to grow their companies. I mentioned the second part of it, which is our programming. The ecosystem offers a wide range of acceleration, hiring and team formation, business operations support, networking and community activities, and market positioning programming that is run by the University of Pennsylvania's Penn Center for Innovation. So regardless of how people join our community, whether they are renters or just members or part of the accelerator, they all participate and are eligible for the services provided by PCI as well as these programs. So what you see on this image is just some of the pictures of some of the programming that we've done over the years and the space and how it sort of promotes these efforts. In addition to the programming that Penn provides, we have corporate sponsors such as Johnson & Johnson, which is the major sponsor at Pennovation, that runs what we call the JPOD at Philadelphia. So the JPOD is an accelerator. It was launched about a year ago, and the goal is to competitively select companies for advanced mentorship. And it's one of the two accelerator programs that Pennovation offers to entrepreneurs in Philadelphia. And they're both open to everybody. You don't have to be a member of Pennovation. You don't have to be a resident at Pennovation Works. These accelerators are available to everybody. Today we have 18 JPOD companies that are part of our ecosystem. And these companies are matched with scientific experts via Johnson & Johnson's JPAL program. Johnson & Johnson runs business and science education programming. It helps the founders who are part of this program to form global connections with thought leaders through the JPOD itself, which has a very sophisticated telepresence conferencing system. And it promotes the member companies via their JLabs navigator. The process for selection is through what we call the Quickfire Challenge. So after 3 years or so, the Pennovation community is quite robust. And what you see here are logos of the wide mix of companies that we have who are engaged in commercializing robotics, life sciences, and other cutting-edge discoveries that they have made. The community is supported by Johnson & Johnson that I talked about. We also have Hershey and Hillrom and Qualcomm as members of our ecosystem that support the young companies in their growth. And these are some of the other Penn research entities, the School of Design, Penn Veterinarian School, the School of Dental Medicine, the School of Engineering, of course, and Arts and Sciences, in 1776. So together, all these people complete our ecosystem and they create a stimulating and supportive innovation ecosystem and a culture of collaboration at Pennovation. which we are very proud of, and we work very hard to keep that culture of collaboration intact. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Wojwadka. I think I said that right, Mike, did I?
You did. That's great. Thanks, Anish.
So to talk about the lab building that we are extremely excited about.
Excellent. Thank you. So as Anish said, I'm Mike Wojwadka. I'm Senior Vice President and Partner of MRA Group. And we're very happy and excited to have been selected as the developer of the lab building, at the campus here. Penn's commitment to the larger ecosystem in the Philadelphia region, not only at the campus but throughout the entire region, is commendable, and it's definitely something that the MRA is proud to be part of, and it's a true anchor for the entire region, which is just really phenomenal. The lab building itself is a 65,000 square foot existing building. On the screen here, you see the photo of what the building originally looked like. You see all of the rooftop equipment as well as the large white columns in front of the building, which were actually the original air shafts for the building. The vision for the building is to strip the building down to its superstructure, meaning we're going to we've left the floors and the columns, and it's going to be redeveloped and repositioned as a state-of-the-art Class A lab building. And what's most exciting about that is Penn's commitment to start the project without any signed leases or any tenants. So they really started the project on a speculative basis, which is on track to deliver the space, as Anish said, this November. I think everyone's probably aware there's a bit of a shortage of lab space throughout the entire region. There's a lot of planned projects and projects coming on in late 21 and in 2022. But this 65,000 square foot building is really designed to meet the need of the market today. And as Anish mentioned, from a design standpoint, we've designed the building to accommodate tenants really as small as about 2,000 square feet, ideally up to about 12,000 square feet. We have flexibility in that. If needed, we could go a little bit smaller than 2,000 square feet or a little larger than 12,000 square feet based on demand that we're seeing. But I think what's most important to understand about the building is that it's going to be a market rate lab building that's going to be custom designed for each individual tenant's use. So we're not going to pre-build out the labs or the offices as part of the space. We're going to build it out to meet the demands of the individual tenants. And it's pretty unique. It's a great complement to both the center and the Inventors building. So some of the features of the building, it's going to include a 2-story lobby. So what we've done is we've cut out a portion of the second floor to really open up the building. So when you walk into the building, you'll have a nice 2-story feel. Very, very much a Class A environment, which will be very attractive to companies as they're bringing their investors and their partners into the building. There'll be some shared services within the building and shared space within the building as well, such as a lounge and a kitchenette. The building's going to have its own ping pong table, which is very exciting for those of us who like to play ping pong. And from a shared services standpoint, we'll also have a shared autoclave and glass wash area, as well as dedicated, dry storage and waste areas. Anish mentioned all the great features of the campus and the programming. All the tenants of this building will have access, so it's a nice additional benefit, including access to the Pennovation Cafe. It is a nice amenity for the existing center as well as this new building. I'm sure Anish can talk about it later, but those offerings will continue to be enhanced and improved for additional food offerings. The campus also offers something unique in the city, whereby we have the ability to have parking on campus. Parking is available to the tenants of the campus. It's on a first come first served basis, but it's a nice amenity at this point, and it's frankly an amenity and something that we're not charging for right now. which is a little different than elsewhere in the city, as we know. As I mentioned, from a layout standpoint, the building's 65,000 square feet over 4 floors. The renderings that you're looking at here are indicative of basically each suite is showing about a 2,000 square foot module or pod, if you will. From a design standpoint, the building's designed to accommodate roughly 95% wet lab space. So it's going to be a very lab capable building with the infrastructure to support that. We've leveraged each of the columns to create wet columns, where we've brought the water supply and drains and chemical drains down through those columns, so we can reduce the build out costs for each of these fit outs by centralizing all of that. The building, from an air handling standpoint, will have the capacity to support both chemistry hoods as well as biochemistry hoods as well, the recirculation hoods. It's just, it's a very advanced or technologically advanced building, which is exciting. This is a sample test fit of how we could foresee a tenant potentially wanting to lay out their space. From a concept standpoint, we're looking to maximize the glass lines of the building. So by stripping the building down to its superstructure, we've increased the glass exposure in the building by more than 60% to really allow the natural light to come in and permeate the space. The test fits that you're seeing here show the labs built on the exterior glass wall, recognizing that those of us who spend a lot of time in the labs, it's nice to see the daylight and look out. Again, this is just a test fit or a sample. This isn't indicative of how the space has to lay out. It's just a concept. As I mentioned, from a building capability standpoint, we have a robust electrical infrastructure coming into the campus with an emergency generator that will be installed to support the building. The entire building will not be supported by the emergency generator, but dedicated panels within each of the tenant or circuits within each of the tenant spaces will be tied to those panels for the emergency backup. Well, one exciting thing about the building related to the HVAC is we've decided to go with a very energy efficient, high-end HVAC system called a VRF system, or variable refrigerant flow system. We've successfully installed that on a few other projects, and we've seen a reduction in utility costs by as much as 35 to 40%, which is very exciting. And as we can reduce those operating expenses for the companies that are moving into the building, that just provides more cash flow to go back into the research and development, which is very exciting. Teledata service is tied into the building as well. Basically, we're bringing them directly into a main NDF room and then distributing it out to each floor in the building, as well as security and access control. As part of the overall campus, there's a 24/7 gate on the campus with access control. The building itself will be open probably during normal business hours, with each tenant having the ability to lock and control access to it to their own suite. At a high level, that probably describes the building.
I think, Mike, that's good. We can answer questions if people have any about the building. With this collage of images here, and you'll wonder sort of why we have a yellow caterpillar there. And actually, the yellow caterpillar is an agility course for the dogs, the working dogs who are being trained to do all kinds of amazing things like detect cancer, and now they are being trained to detect COVID amongst patients. So, I mean, it's we are excited about our space, we are excited about our programs and our events, but what makes every day so special for me, because I spend all my time here, is these companies, and it's this wonderful work that is being done. That smart aviary that you see in the upper left corner, where we are using digital technology to study the reproductive behavior of birds, or the ghost robotics dog that you'll see frequently walking around the campus, because they're using the whole campus as a training ground to sort of train the dog. We have concerts in the summer. Qualcomm is developing their autonomous car on the Pennovation campus using technology that was developed by Penn students, a startup company that grew out of Pennovation and was purchased by Qualcomm. Some of you may have seen the drone light show that one of our companies, Verge Aero, did to honor first responders and healthcare providers. So I'm going to sort of leave all the stories about those companies to another day and open this up for questions and turn it back to Lori. But I hope you do come and visit us when it's possible to do so, and virtually through our website.
Great. Thank you both for your presentation, and it's amazing just to see the growth from the Pennovation Center onto the rest of the site and how it's expanding. Can you talk a little bit, I guess I'm going to ask the first question, what are a typical profile maybe of a company that is in the Pennovation Center versus one that may be in the new lab building? Or what do you think is the sweet spot in terms of company growth for each of these buildings?
So I think that, and this is a great question, Lori, because Mike and I talk about this every day with Carter McClure, who manages the Pennovation Center for us. And what we're trying to do is to sort of match companies with each of our buildings based on the stage of their growth. So the key differentiator is at what stage each company is. The Pennovation Center co-working environment is ideally suited for a very young startup. Someone who's still in the early stages, may have raised some angel funding or maybe self-funded, and can't or don't have the sort of bandwidth to go out and buy their own lab equipment and develop their own lab space. The lab building is for a company that has reached the next stage, that has graduated beyond the incubator, and now is thinking about a space that is their own, that is customized for their specific technology and for their specific science, and they're ready to have their own equipment. So that's the key differentiator, is the stage of development of each company.
I think you summed it up perfectly, Anish. That's really the key differentiator right there. Those companies that are able to be a little more self-sustaining, commit to a 3-year lease, that have the funding, that frankly that need to be more independent and autonomous in their own space, as opposed to being in more of a shared environment.
Yeah, just to give you an example, we yesterday had an inquiry from a researcher who wants to be in Philadelphia, is committed to being in Philadelphia, and saw our advertisements for the lab building and approached us for the lab building. But in talking to him, we realized that he's probably at a stage where he's a better fit for, or the Pennovation Center is a better fit for him.
What do you consider the market rate for the lab space in Philadelphia?
Based on looking at at the Market Street corridor, looking at availabilities, recognizing where deals are getting done, I'll tell you that across the board in the city, we're seeing lab rental rates for dedicated lab, not necessarily in a shared environment, in the high 40s, low $50 a square foot range. And frankly, this lab building is priced right there in the middle of that range. The cost of a landlord to put in the infrastructure necessary to support the labs is what drives the economics of the rental rate, as well as the return, or I'll say the lease term, coupled with the landlord allowance, or the amount of dollars that the landlord can provide to a tenant towards their dedicated build out. So, to talk specifically about the building, we've gone to market at the building with looking for a minimum of 3 years. Ideally, we're looking for 5-year lease terms. Again, there's flexibility around that. We're typically, from an average rental rate standpoint, we're going to be about $48.50 a square foot triple net. And triple net, what that means is that in addition to your base rental rate of $48.50, the tenants will be responsible for paying their pro rata share of operating expenses, which include the common area, lighting, snow removal, janitorial, things of that nature, which we estimate those costs to be around $8.50 a square foot. Um, and then tenants will also be responsible for paying for their own suite cleaning and their own electric or utilities consumed within the premises. So, with that being said, with the lease term and with those rental rates, what we can offer is about $100 a square foot allowance. $100 a square foot to be applied towards the cost of building out the space. Now, that's going to lead to another question, I'm sure, Anish, as you'll agree. Well, what's it going to cost to build out my lab space? There's no exact answer because each lab differs, depending on the amount of benchtop and the amount of hoods and lab to office ratio. But we think it's a safe, estimate or conservative estimate for companies to assume that they're going to spend between $200 and $225 a square foot to build out their space and furnish it and move in. So in essence, what that means is the landlord would pay for the first $100 of that, and the tenants would come out of pocket for the second $100 a square foot for the.
I think Mike's provided a lot of detail, and from a company's entrepreneur's point of view, I think that's one of the key differentiators here between the Pennovation Center space and the lab building space. And that also is an important factor because when you go into the center, you pay one price and you get everything, but you don't have the ability to customize anything, and you have to share a lot of equipment and you have to share a lot of space. So in the lab building, you are building everything for yourself based on your specific requirements. And there are many variables, so Mike mentioned the rent itself, the cost of operating the facility, the cost of fitting it out, and the term, how many years you plan to be there. So all those things put together create a package. So it's best to sort of think of it as a sort of a dynamic number rather than a flat number.
Does build out need to be done with union labor as negotiated by Penn?
No. So we do have the ability to help with that, but a tenant, when they sign a lease, has the flexibility to hire their own contractor, their own architect, and do their own build out, as long as we have some review and approval of what they're doing to the building.
One thing I wanted to expand you to expand on a little bit is I think the Pennovation Works campus is very different from a typical landlord-tenant type of environment. We really get to know the companies and provide resources to help the companies grow whatever they may need, whether it's marketing help or contacts with the Penn community or contacts with venture capitalists. Can you just talk a little bit about some of those kind of soft benefits about being part of the campus that go beyond just, the cost of space and, moving into an office?
The benefits of being in Pennovation go beyond the quality of the space that we have. And we do have good space. We have outdoor space, and it has some unexpected benefits today. So I've been talking to tenants who say, we are not comfortable hosting our investors, customers in conference rooms inside the building, but we have the plaza. So we've been having meetings outside. So it's not uncommon to see a company having an investor presentation out in the plaza these days. But more than that, more than the space, I think, the most important benefit is access to the Penn Center for Innovation Ventures staff. Office hours with Mike Poisel and his team, the ability to sort of sound off on ideas. They're willing to talk to anybody. Anybody who's a member of Pennovation can ask for a 1-hour time slot and just talk about the specific problems that they're trying to resolve or specific issues that they're trying to tackle. So that's a very important resource for people. It's a one-on-one personalized mentorship. Our programming and events are also customized. So we are frequently polling our members to find out what they need. So if they need help understanding the KOZ and the KIZ benefits, we'll host a seminar on that. And we did one before COVID. We hosted a big seminar to explain to people the tax benefits that they have. And then that was followed up by personalized office hours for some companies who wanted to discuss specific issues that they didn't want to do in a public setting. So those kinds of benefits are there. I think the networking amongst the various companies that are there and the opportunity to interact with the Penn researchers on the campus is a big one. Our accelerators are very robust, and the JPOD itself and access to the whole, if you're accepted in the JPOD program, access to the Johnson & Johnson network, which is global in nature and very powerful, is great. We have pitch sessions, so we take a cohort of companies to South by Southwest every year. This year we weren't able to do that because of COVID, but we hosted a virtual pitch session with our Penn Wharton Alumni Association out in Austin. And that was very successful. The companies really appreciated the fact that we coached them on their pitches in developing their PowerPoints and their elevator pitch, but also created forums for them to make those pitches to potential investors or others who could connect them with investors. And that was very successful, and so we've decided that we're going to do more of these virtual pitch sessions, which are really an inexpensive way to get in front of people who can help companies grow.
Let's put aside COVID for the moment. What's your vision for success? Where would you like to see the Pennovation Works campus in 5 years? What would that? How would you? What does that mean to you?
I think our success, I measure Pennovation success not by bricks and mortar and square feet and numbers, but by the health of our companies. I think if we keep seeing innovative companies and products like I don't even want to mention one because each one is important and each one is fantastic. And I think that I would say Pennovation is extremely successful today because of the kind of work that is being done here. And so I'd like to see that multiplied tenfold and have more companies that have passed through. I also don't see our measure of success in how long we hold on to our companies. I think when companies grow and they become bigger than what we can help them with, that's great. We celebrate that.
That's an inspiring answer. One benefit you didn't quite specifically talk about, but I'll just raise is, in addition to the cafe, the Pennovation Works campus has hosted food trucks to vary the food availability, which has been great. And I know all the tenants have really enjoyed that. Any sense of when those may be coming back?
Yeah, so this is an active conversation, Lori. And as some of people, I think some of our audience are members of Pennovation, and they're aware that the Pennovation Cafe has been closed since March 16th when we had our work from home order from the governor. And we are working very hard to find the right time to reopen it. The food trucks fall in the same category. We want the food trucks to come back, and we are, polling our members today to see how many are coming back. The results so far are very encouraging. We expect that 50% of the staff that is working on the Pennovation campus should be back before the end of the month or sometime in early July. We are also looking to expand the food offering beyond the food trucks. We are talking to vendors such as Honey Grow and others to create a more diverse range of food offering. We are aware that Pennovation exists in an area that does not have too many restaurants outside our campus. So we're trying to bring it to the campus.
Of course, I'm sure the food truck vendors will be very happy to be asked to come back when you're ready to do that, as will the tenants.
Yeah, they all need a certain threshold of the number of people that will buy their stuff before it makes sense for them to come. So we are trying to get to that.
Another question we have is, will the building be connected to the office building next door?
Yes, there is a bridge on the second floor, right, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, there is a bridge on the second floor that provides an indoor connection between the two buildings.
And we clearly have, or maybe some current or prospective tenants here, and someone wants to know, will vacuum lines already be built in? And if not, could a tenant add a vacuum line? And I think this is probably for the new lab building.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mike?
So vacuum lines will not be built in as part of the base building infrastructure, but by all means, tenants can absolutely install their own vacuum lines. Typically, what we see is a small kind of under counter compressor or pump that's installed as part of that.
Are there any, I guess, concluding or final remarks or details or something you want to highlight for anyone who's currently maybe on site or considering moving on site?
I think that I would welcome everybody to come and visit, and even if they aren't sure, talk to us. I think that there's a range of options, and we will work hard to find the right fit for you.
And Mike, but we've got some more questions coming in now. What about fume hood exhaust infrastructure?
Sure. So the infrastructure to support the hoods,
Yes.
are installed up on the roof, or will be installed up on the roof, to provide, again, for about a 95% wet lab building, which means, we'll have plenty of outside air coming into the building, plenty of exhaust infrastructure built in to support the labs. Conceptually, when you look at a 95% ratio for each 2,000 square foot module, we made an assumption that there's going to be, 2 hoods per space. So the base building infrastructure will more than support. I can't think of really any user. I could think of a user that would utilize more infrastructure than that, but based on how the building's designed, I think we're going to be okay.
Someone wants to know what the due date is to apply. So I guess that means, what's the process for becoming a tenant in the new building? And maybe, Anish, you also want to address how we try to curate the folks on site a bit.
So there's no due date. Leasing is ongoing. Send us an email. You can go to our website and click on the link, or just send an email to pennovationlab@upenn.edu, and you'll get a response right away, and then we'll start talking. So it's not, it's ongoing. So please reach out to us, and my email is on this page as well. Reach out to me, call me, anything you want. In terms of curation, we do have a curation process where we want to make sure that the tenant mix is just right, and also that the work being done by our tenants is compatible with the infrastructure of the building. And I think that those are two important things. Environmental health and safety is an issue for us, so we need to know what exactly the company is going to be doing. We are not asking people to reveal their intellectual property or share with us any confidential proprietary information, but we do want to understand how they intend to use the space and what they do. So that is central to the intake process, that as they start talking to Mike, he will gather the information from them, and then we take it to our curation committee. It's a small committee of 3 people, and fairly quick in the determination of whether it's a fit or not. And I have to say that in my 7 months at Pennovation, we turned down a very small number of companies.
Lori, I would just add on to what Anish said, just as, from a planning standpoint, I think if a company's looking to occupy space this year, we should be talking very, very soon, because it's going to take between 6 to 8 months on average from initial contact through designing the space, permitting the space, and then building the space before a tenant can move in. So I think, it's a safe assumption is, 6 months is probably a reasonable time period, from a forecasting standpoint.
Good. Well, the best position, I guess, what we're hoping for is that there's high demand for space on the Pennovation Works site, whether the office building, the new lab building, or the Pennovation Center. I think it's an amazing community of collaborators who are there to support each other, and PCI, among many others at Penn, are a resource to help grow all the companies, corporate partners, or venture capitalists that are involved with Pennovation Works. And we're looking forward to lots of more success.